Welcome back to another episode of Keoni Chats. My guest is Jessica Ashman, and I've known Jessica since about 2008, so that would be my sophomore year, her freshman year. And we just ran in different social circles. You know, it's high school, it's going to happen, you're still figuring yourself out. But during the interview, and actually I don't remember doing this, but during the interview, she mentioned that she remembers me as that person that would always wave to her as we're crossing in the paths, or if I see her down the hallway, we make eye contact. I'm always waving. And honestly, if that's how I'm remembered when it comes to people I've had school with or people maybe I've lost contact with, I'm totally good with that. That's a mark to me. That's a mark of a good impression that you've made on someone. And if I made that impression with Jessica, so I'm extremely happy about that. So Jessica has gone on a interesting career path, and we'll go through it through the interview, but I'm not going to spoil it. But she is currently a certified personal trainer, and she uses social media a lot. And some people have a negative stigma towards social media. It's fine. But for people like myself and Jessica that need social media to get their services or get their passion projects out to the world, it's crucial to be active. It's crucial to communicate with people. And her views on the positivity of social media, it's enlightening, and it's also kind of refreshing because all I hear is this negative stigmas towards social medias, which again, I get it. I understand. I feel it too. Trust me, I feel it. So it was nice to talk to her about that. It was because she's very active on, let's say, this Instagram stories. And, Facebook wise, she's ever so often, but she's, more active on Instagram. So I wanted to know, as someone that is active, how do you mentally get through having to push through it? So we talk about that. And, I've always known her as that kind of thin framed, but is still in shape woman. And I didn't know that she was dealing with anorexia at a fairly young age. And to hear about her stories and to hear what she had to go through to get to where she is today, it was, I wouldn't say inspirational. Inspirational has kind of always been a little weird word for me because it just makes me, the right phrasing that I want to say is that when I hear stories like this, it makes me want to root harder for them. It makes me want to beat their drum a little harder, be their cheerleader a little harder, because I want everyone to succeed. Obviously, it might be a little too stereotypical, but I enjoy hearing triumph, and I enjoy hearing people overcoming some obstacles, which is what this podcast is for, just to talk to people about their journeys. So I was very happy to get Jessica on the show, and we've had to reschedule a couple of times, so it was a little bit of a dance we had to do, but we got it done, and I'm very happy to be here to announce her episode. So before we initially get into that chat, I just want to remind those DC Universe fans that I am working on a DC animated blog series that reviews all the movies. Just finished 2015, officially posted. It's going to be on my website, keoniconlu.com, under blogs. Click on the DC image and then hit 2015. That's what it'll be. And if you are looking to get any kind of metal pinware, any kind of metal 90s culture, just something individual, something unique, check out Little Shop of Pins. I'm not sponsored by them. They were my guest last week, but I just got to keep beating their drum because it's, again, it's a Filipino supporting another Filipino, but it's also, their stuff is so interesting. Their stuff is so unique. Their stuff is so just out there that it makes people like myself that like the unusual, that like something that's going to stand out, more attracted to them. So littleshopofpins.com is where you can go check out their inventory and select any kind of Filipino themed. You got some 90s culture. I know they had Back to the Future. They just released a mental health awareness pin series with Joanna Walters. She was mentioned in the episode prior, but I just want to give a quick shout out to them. Check it out. Also follow them on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So that was, again, not sponsored by Little Shop of Pins, but I just love their stuff. I gotta always, give a little call out to them. And without further ado, whether you are streaming this interview through Spotify or iTunes, or you are watching it on the YouTubes or a YouTube app on your phone, I hope you enjoy my chat with Jessica Ashman. And in the description below, I'll put a link to her website where you can book an appointment with Jessica. So enjoy the chat. I'll see you guys on the other end. Jessica Ashman, the woman that I've known for a good part of I want to say for a very long time. The progression I've seen you go on from when I first met you, your freshman year, to where you are now, it's absolutely mind-blowing. So I'm very grateful to have you stop by and talk about your story and talk about other things going on in your life. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on here. That's really sweet of you. And it's really good to see that you're creating your own podcast. And I'm really excited to see how you flourish as well.
Thank you. Trials and errors, right before this, my phone was going a little haywire, but, I think we're going to make it. We're going to make it.
We are. I always make this joke that technology was made to break on us. So as long as we can just figure out how to get it to work again, we're good.
Yeah, we're fine. So you currently are a personal trainer, and with the pandemic going on right now, how has work been?
So for me, I was really lucky, I would say. Not only do I do in-person training, but I do online clients. So my clientele for online picked up, but a couple of my clients actually felt comfortable working out of my house. So I kind of actually turned my garage into a gym, and it already had the rubber flooring and everything. So we just made sure that we kept measures in place and kept things clean. But I was really fortunate because I know that a lot of other people that are trainers in this area and just all around the world, a lot of them were not able to keep the money flowing in. So that's how it's going. And then since things opened up in June, I'm back in the gym. I'm still doing online clients. But I mean, the one thing I do like is since everybody works from home, I get to get off work early. I'm not working till like 7:30 at night anymore because most people want to work at like 6 a.m. until lunchtime and then the evening. And so that's kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, overall, I just feel really blessed to be in the position that I'm in because I know it's not like that for everybody right now.
Yeah. So while we were trying to catch up before the show officially started, you mentioned that you like this kind of work because you set your own schedule and you get to not have the locks of a routine of the normal 8 to 5 jobbers. So what moment or what job did you have where you realized, like, I really don't like this? I want to do something where I can choose things.
So it's not that I didn't like the job that I was doing. I worked in corporate sales, digital marketing and sales for a company in Lake Oswego for 7 years. And it was a desk job. I was 18 when I started. By the time I was 20 years old, I was a sales manager running a team, running people who were older than me, teaching them sales and Google ads and SEO and all of that kind of stuff. And so when I was 18, I was anorexic, and that's kind of around the time where I figured that out. I was 17 actually. And so over the time that I worked at this job, I got into fitness and my health and stuff like that really seriously. And the more that I learned about fitness and health, the less I wanted to be at a desk job. And it was phone sales. So, I mean, I would go to acquisition events and fly around the world and stuff like that with Google, but majority of my job was sitting in front of a desk every single day, cold calling people, telling them how I can help them with their marketing. And so it just got very redundant. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity that I had there. Like, I would not, hands down, I would not be where I am today without the knowledge and the networking and everything that I learned at that company. And I gained not just a lot of knowledge, but lifelong friendships. And to me, that's really important too. So it wasn't that I hated the job. It was more that I was ready to transition into a new part of my life. And so I started just posting things on social media, and eventually people, like, just of my own fitness journey. Like, I had no intent to be a trainer at this time, and people just started asking me questions, and I was like, you know what, like, I really have a passion for this. I really love this, like, this job over here. Like, I'm like, gosh, it's almost a decade that I've been there, and I was only 25 when I quit. So I was just like, there's so much more for me to do in my life. I want my own schedule, and I have it. And it's definitely a grind because I'm not sitting at a desk. I don't have a company to back me up. Everything is on me. So it's definitely more of a grind, and you have to have the mentality of keeping yourself in check, or knowing when, for example, if you're going through something in life, because as entrepreneurs, we're all still people, right? You just have to be aware of your ups and downs and be able to tackle them. And so I feel like I kind of got off base with your question, but that's kind of where I'm at today. But it was a digital marketing firm, and I really didn't want to be at a desk job anymore. Like, I really wanted to help other people enjoy fitness. Like, that is my goal. If someone comes to me and they're like, I hate working out, I'm like, oh, but you're gonna love it. Wait till you see how it makes you feel. And I just want to I want to spread that love and the admiration that I have for feeling good about myself to other people. And I can do that through training them. So.
So let me get this right. At 20, was it a sales or accounting manager?
No, I was a sales manager.
Sales manager. Now, what was your thinking when did you feel like you outworked everyone to get this position, or did you just feel like you were just more into the work?
I worked hard. I really did. And the only way I could get there was by being a top producer. So I became a top sales producer, and I had been a supervisor at my first job, which was Jamba Juice. So I already picked up like micromanaging skills, and I was a supervisor. So I already, counted money, kind of got used to telling people what to do, thinking of stuff like that. So it came naturally to me to help other people. And you have to, in order to go up the ladder, right, you have to prove your value, you have to prove your worth and that you can do it. And they thought I could do it. And it was a month after I turned 20, like, I still felt like I was 19, and I'm like scared out of my mind. Not a lot of people know this, but I dropped out of college for it. I was doing school at PCC Rock Creek, as well as doing this job full time. And when they made me a sales manager, I quit so that I could focus solely on becoming I had never been like a manager like that. That was terrifying. So I would go home and I would like research different like sales articles and how to train people, and I would have to come up with like different things to go and teach them about AdWords. And so I'm very thankful for the opportunity.
So who did you go to vent out your thoughts and vent out your like worries? And was there a person at work, or is this one of a family friend that you kind of saw as your kind of moral buddy or moral like cheerleader?
I think it depends on what is it that you like, just in regards to like sales, like if I was struggling as a manager, who did I go to, kind of thing?
Yeah, because you just mentioned that you're terrified. You're this first time being in a managerial spot at with this kind of work included. How did you kind of get over your fears, and how did you, or was there anyone that you leaned on to help you kind of step up in mentality wise?
Yeah, a very specific guy. His name is Eric Scriven. He is the VP of sales for that company, and he had my back. Like, anytime I was like doubting myself, he'd be like, Jess, like, you got this. Like, he used to write notes to the managers just to like make us feel more empowered. So I would say it was definitely Eric Scriven. And then I would just go home a lot and try to study. And I mean, at the end of the day, I was still getting sales and stuff like that. I think that what I feared the most was what other people might think, because I was so young. So I would honestly get people anywhere from 18 years old up to like in their 50s. And a lot of people that are that much older than me don't really want to listen to a little 20-year-old. Plus, you can't really teach an old dog new tricks. So I'm over here, this upbeat girl trying to teach these people the way that we, talk to people on the phone and the sales process. And that, I think that was just the challenge, is like, how do I get through to these people? And I think another challenge is everybody's different. That's the thing I learned about being a sales manager is Eric always, probably shouldn't have said his name. He always says, or somebody always says, that you can't teach a new, my bad.
Pause.
I totally pause, rewind. Can you ask me the question again? Sorry, I totally blanked.
So let me start with a new question.
No problem.
So, because I believe the question I asked earlier was like, oh, who did you lean on? And then you said Eric.
Yeah.
So a question popped in my head as you were giving the answer. How did you react when people that were, let's say, closer to the 50 range, or maybe some rebellious 18-year-old was not listening to you and also kind of hurting the team?
So I would go and talk to Eric and I would say, hey, this is the situation. How do I deal with this? Or is there, like, this is what I want to say. Is there a better way to say it? And if they still didn't listen, sometimes honestly, like, management has to talk to them. Or maybe the other thing is everybody's personality is different. So maybe you just don't mesh with that person and you can swap somebody with another team, somebody on another team. That would happen a lot too, is they would like shift the sales floor. So, but I mean, I had to learn a lot about how to deal with other people's emotions. And somebody told me that everybody's emotions are different. And as a manager, you're basically like a babysitter. And so it's very, it kind of sounds harsh, but I bet you anybody in management position is laughing when they hear this, because it kind of is, because not only am I teaching these people sales and the process, and I'm line feeding them on the phone, telling them literally what to say as they're on the phone. But if they have a bad day and they're coming into work with the poor attitude, or they're allowing the outside environment to affect them, that affects the team, that affects their sales, that affects how they talk to people on the phone. And so you have to manage people's emotions on top of your regular job. And that's why he said it's like being a babysitter. So I think that in itself was very stressful as a 20-year-old who's a new manager, who's getting the sales thing down, but really didn't understand, like, wow, all these people have emotions. Some of them cry, some of them get pissed off and flick their pen. Some of them straight up talk back to you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you just always have to learn how to keep control and be professional and always be the bigger person. And obviously we're human. So sometimes, maybe that's not what you want to do. So.
Yeah. When I worked at Qdoba Mexican Grill in Eugene for, I want to say maybe my last 2.5 years before I graduated college. Yeah, I became a manager, and to go off your point, I had no idea how to handle anyone. I just knew how to do the work. I knew how to get everything flowing. But when it came to like any work conflict, I was like, you're being ridiculous, but I can't say that to your face, because then I get in trouble as a manager.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get that.
It really makes you grow up quick. You're like, oh, okay, like this is real. I can't be that way anymore.
I am the parent. These are my children.
Yeah, seriously. That's awesome. How long were you a manager there for?
So I was there for about, I want to say 2 years and some change. And it was the late night shift. So it was like, let's say 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. And it was right on campus. Wow. So obviously we're catering to the, let's call it the partying people of University of Oregon. And yeah, I was there for like a handful of months as the delivery boy, because this is before we use like a second company for October.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once that they eliminated the delivery system, I was like, well, I'm going to go to late night because it's easy for my work, for my school, and right. it's good hours. And then I realized that the manager that would cover the late night was someone I had some conflicts with because of her, I guess we just had different personalities. She's very nose to the grindstone. She's very get the work done, make sure you're not screwing off. And I'm like, I want to screw off a little bit.
And yeah, exactly.
I want to have a little fun and get the work done, smile, have fun. And so,
I'm so serious.
Exactly. So I decided that I was going to run for the late night manager position. That way I can not say take her out of the spot, but more of like take her off duty and let her work the daytime, which I think she rather preferred anyway. So
Oh, I see.
it all worked out in the end.
I was gonna say it worked out for everybody.
So you're dealing with becoming a manager. You're dealing with being a babysitter or a parent or making sure these people get from where they are to where you think they can go. How did you mentally deal with all that and then realizing you have anorexia?
Ah, um, I feel like I kind of separated the two. Like, I used my breaks as my time to eat, I guess, if that makes sense. So it was like when I was off the clock. But I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, my habits were horrible. Like, I would have like 3 energy drinks, a freaking Dr. Pepper. I remember taking a photo one time and putting it on Facebook and being like, look, all of these are mine. And it was like an energy drink, a soda, like some water, a juice. Like, it was crazy. I was all over the place. And so I would say, I guess the differences I noticed is that when you're not taking care of your body and I'm working and taking care of other people, like, you're more hungry. So I don't know if I was more irritable. I don't know if I would necessarily say that, but I would say when I started eating again, I was definitely like, I had more energy throughout the day. You know what I mean? It's easier to explain things. But yeah, when I had anorexia, it was, I mean, I guess I will always have it. Like, it's something that I still struggle with even today. Like, sometimes meals are harder for me to eat, to be completely honest, especially if I miss breakfast. But I really, I really had to adapt in work because I had to start bringing food to work, and that was new for me. So instead of like taking the break and going and hanging out with my friends outside for the 15 minutes or the half hour or whatever, I would have to like sit at my desk and eat food. And I don't like eating food. Even today, I mean, I love food a lot more, but like, there are multiple times in my life where I've been like, why do we as humans have to eat food to survive? Like, why can't I just survive without eating? And like, obviously, I know the answers to those questions, but it's just when you're anorexic and you're going through life and then a doctor tells you that you need to put on weight and it's like, otherwise you're really going to have issues. It's a really scary thing. It's like the hardest thing that I've ever probably gone through mentally. Um, it was really hard, I would say, but I'm on the other side. And in the end, by the time I left that place, I was eating full meals. So this is probably the course of like 5 years, of the 7 years. I was eating a full meal at my 9:30. So I was eating a shake in the morning at my 9:30 break. Basically every 2 to 3 hours, I would eat another meal. So 9:30 break, I wasn't shooting hoops with my coworkers. I was in the break room warming up, like I think it was like eggs and oatmeal I would eat, or I would bring like protein pancakes. Then lunchtime I would go and I just started meal prepping. And that's when my physique really started changing, is when I made those sacrifices and put my health first. So.
So currently, I'm about, let's say, less than a month away from my birthday. So I decided to go on a paleo diet and work out a little more. And I'm at
Mhm.
the fray. So this is day 2. So, and I'm missing certain things about
Mhm.
carbs and all these other junk foods that kind of make me full because I can eat all this healthy food and like snack as much as, let's say, you are. And you still have that little pit in your stomach saying, like, you're not full. You're full, but
You
you're
want
not
candy
full.
or sweets or whatever it is you're craving.
Yeah.
Is that kind of, yeah.
Yeah. How did you fight that when you first started getting into the meal prepping phases?
So, I I'm like thinking of 2 different times in my life. So for me, I there was only a time period of like 2 years where I was really, really strict. Like, I wasn't even eating dairy or anything like that. But I hugely believe in eating in moderation. So if you want to have a cookie that day, as long as it fits within your macros and you're not overeating and you're also exercising, then I don't see why people can't eat the foods that they love unless they have like an allergic reaction or for example, it causes inflammation. Like one thing people don't know is tomatoes cause inflammation. The seeds and the skin do. So when I found that out, like I just slowly took that out. So for me, I'm really good at losing my train of thought sometimes. Did I fully answer your question though too? Or I can go in more in depth if you'd like.
Yeah, if you want to continue, that's totally fine. Or if you feel like you've answered it. It's funny because before we started the show, and then leading up to all the conversations we had, you always mentioned that you're a talker, and I love that about you. Just because I want to get more details out. It makes me want to just peel more, just get some more.
I was like, am I living up to my reputation here? So.
I'm a talker too, so it's luckily I'm the host of the show.
Yeah, good. It's probably good you're in journalism then, huh?
A little bit. It's working for me. It's working for me. So I read about your trainer bio on your website, and I did hear that you taught yourself macros, and then you taught yourself a gym routine. Was that correct? Or did someone show you how to properly work out?
So there was one friend who at that company actually, who it's kind of interesting. He was aspiring to be a personal trainer at the time. And he was like one of my really good friends. And so when I found out that I was anorexic, obviously he was a close person to me and he was into fitness. So he started taking me to the gym, and it was the 24-hour fitness in Shoals and Murray in Beaverton. Mm-hmm. And so I started learning kind of how to work out and form and stuff from there. But I wasn't eating enough. And so what I would do is I would go home and I would research, because after a while, like he ended up hurting himself. He was playing semi-professional football and ended up hurting himself. So I was kind of like on my own. That also ended his potential career of being a personal trainer. He just never ended up like going down that road. And so to me, I've always thought it was interesting that this guy who was, going to be a personal trainer, like I kind of like pursued that role. Like I really like the idea of being a trainer and helping people, and now that's what I do, and I've quit that company. But in the end, originally he was helping me, and then in the end I would go home, and it's funny because I still find like my little scrap papers, and we're honestly like I would be at that work and towards the end of the day I would be researching like what am I going to do for arm day, like what are these exercises, and I would literally watch the videos, and I would be that person standing in the gym looking at my phone, watching how to do the form, and then trying to mimic it. And then slowly I just progressed from there. And I've met people along the course of my life where they're into fitness too, and they've helped me. Knowledge is power. So I'm always trying to learn from people. But it's been a long journey.
So when you see people that are like that, just on their phone, does it make you like kind of reminisce? You're like, oh, those are good times. And now you just kind of get back to slamming weights and grunting.
Slamming weights. I am a weight slammer actually, so that's kind of funny you said that. But yeah, no, I love it. And the one thing I do sometimes if I feel like I can do it in a nice way is like if I see someone having the incorrect form at like let's say 24-hour fitness, then I will go up to them and say, hey, like, have you tried this? Or, hey, do you feel pain here? And I just try to just let them know, like, hey, I just noticed this. I just don't want you to hurt yourself. Like, I'm a trainer at another gym. Like, and most of the time I get good responses from that. Sometimes I'm like, the people like, why are you talking to me kind of look. But I don't know. I just try to help in that way, I guess. I just don't want people to get hurt at the end of the day. Like, it's scary watching when you know form. But I know everybody, like I used to post stuff on social media where I'm like swinging my arms and bicep curls. And I'm like telling these people like, hey, do this curl this way. I'm like recording it. And then I look back like it's 5 years down the road. I'm like, Jessica, like, why did you ever post that? Like, what are you thinking? So you live and you learn though, right?
Yeah. So I want to take you back just a little bit because there was a question I wanted to ask prior to this one. But
yeah.
The gym tends to have so I know the Planet Fitness, let's put that example. It's like a no judgment zone. It's like you can't be like grunting or anything like that. It can be intimidating. And then you switch over to 24-hour fitness where people are grunting. They are slamming weights. They are, I don't think they're screaming, but just they're feeling the energy.
Yeah, exactly.
what was do you remember your first impressions of the 24-hour fitness gym when you first entered and how you kind of overcame them?
I would say that question probably no, because I was with my friend. So like if I was by myself, I would say, yeah, I would definitely have been a little more intimidating. And I guess like thinking back, I would literally sit on like every single machine and read the picture. So I remember in those moments, I would be like, gosh, everybody's staring at me. I swear, like everybody is watching me and sees that I don't know this. But now that I'm one of those people that knows how to do, nobody cares. Like nobody's watching, I guess, except for me when I see you're doing the wrong form. But like nobody knows in the moment that you don't know what you're doing. So, but overall, like I was very thankful that I had somebody there to kind of show me the ropes, like, you know, hey, this is where even the locker rooms are, like these machines, these are what cardio machines look like this is a leg press. So that was nice, but there were definitely moments where I had to figure it out on my own for sure.
So in your bio, you mentioned that people have called you the was it the skinny girl with twig arms, I believe is what I saw. I'm just double check real quick. So when you read that over and then you see where you are now, can you tell me about a time where you were starting to see the muscles starting to form? You started to see like your chest started puffing out a little bit. How'd you feel knowing that you stepped away from that title of lady with twig arms?
I love it. I felt really empowered in it. It really, really motivates you to keep going. And I might get emotional. I'm such an emotional person. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I never want to go back to that point. Like that's really deep down into my core, like what it showed me, like, this is the right lifestyle for me. I'm happier. My butt is growing, which is what I really wanted. My arms, are getting more muscular. Feeling stronger and being stronger as a woman, honestly, is one of the best freaking things that I could have done for myself. Like I can carry 100-pound dumbbell, like maybe not up to, here, but like the fact that I don't need help with that, or I can carry 7 grocery bags and I don't need help with that. Like fitness is so much more than just going into the gym and just working out. It gives you the capabilities to do so much more in life. And I just love it so much. It was very, very, very empowering when I started realizing that I'm actually making it work. But it didn't actually really happen until 2 years after I started working out.
And so when you see female, so would you classify yourself more as a weightlifter, or you just classify yourself as just a gym goer? Because I know you mentioned earlier, again, before the interview, we were just getting back to know each other. You're not a cardio person.
No, I am not. I will do it, but no. You're mentioning that you run 4 miles, and that's not the way I prefer to get my cardio in. I strength train.
Yeah.
I think some people would say I'm kind of a bodybuilder because I have the physique of like one of those bikini competitors, but I don't think I'm ever going to compete. I just really like the look. And so I strength train in a way that could be considered bodybuilding, I guess, but I don't, and then with cardio, I use cardio as a tool to like lean out or lose weight. But most of the time, like you can lose weight without cardio if you train hard enough, if the weight's heavy enough, if you've got the right set amount, the right rep amount. So I just prefer to do my cardiovascular in a different way.
So you are on social media a fairly good amount. Let's just put it at that. How do you feel when you see a plethora of female bodybuilders or female weightlifters, or just females that are doing what you're doing, posting workouts and trying to help others improve themselves?
Wait, I'm so sorry. What exactly is the question out of that?
How do you feel when you see other females other women like yourself that post workouts, or women that are in let's say CrossFit competitors or weightlifters or bodybuilders?
I love it. The more the merrier. Like I encourage people to post that stuff online. Like why not? And it's great. I understand because this whole world is all about like gratification and likes and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like social media can actually be so good for networking. And if you use it in a positive way, it can be healing. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen those memes, but there's memes that all, there's all those positive motivational memes. And one of them will say, like, what is on your feed? What kind of images do you have on your feed? Are they images that make you feel bad about yourself, make you feel insecure, or are they uplifting? Who are you talking to on social media? Like, I think I mentioned when we weren't recording, I had gone to California this past week, and I met two people I've known for 2+ years, but I met them online. And we were in this whole engagement group thing where literally the whole point of us becoming friends was to engage with each other and show love and support for our journeys. And it's just, that is why I love social media. I don't like that it's so time consuming and that we compare ourselves and we fight over likes, and we buy, people buy third-party companies just to get more likes and stuff like that. Like, that's the part that sucks about social media. But the beautiful thing about it is the ability to network with people like me and you. We wouldn't be here right now without social media, right? It's a beautiful thing. It's allowing you to grow your business. It allows me to grow my business. And if you choose to use it in the right way, it can be positive in your life. So that's how I feel when I see those women. Keep doing it. I do think some of them go a little too far with like literally all naked photos, but like, touche. Live your life. If that's what you want to do, like, go ahead. I just make sure that your mindset is in the right perspective, right way, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
completely. So when you post as much as you do, how mentally exhausting is that? Or are you just still motivates you to keep going?
yeah, so I go up and down with that. I try not to stress about it anymore. Like, honestly, I can go 5 days and be like, oh, I should probably post something, but at the end of the day, like, my mental health is so much more important to me. And I tend to post a lot more in my IG stories, which I think keeps people more engaged because they get to know the real me. Like, I'm completely authentic. People see my acne, they see me crying, they see my good days, my bad days. Like, I'm just completely authentic. So I think regardless of whether or not, personally for me, if I post every single day or I don't, I as of now, because of the work that I've done mentally, it doesn't bother me. In the past, I would stress so much. Like, oh my God, I have to post at 2:00 or at 9 a.m. Like, oh, but I posted at 9 a.m. and I didn't get as many likes. So now I have to try over here. And it was draining, like, to the point where I have literally deleted the app off of my phone for a month because I needed to like reset from it. So that is when I went back to it, I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to care what people think about what I post. I'm going to post what I think is helpful. And the very, very interesting thing about it is that ever since I started doing that, my engagement has gone up. Like, my likes have gone up, my comments have gone up. People message me, especially on the ones where I'm so vulnerable. I don't know if you saw it, but there was one like a month and a half ago where I was talking about just like, you are enough and love yourself and don't let anybody else tell you that you're not worth it. I think I got over like 100 replies on throughout all of the like the little IG stories that I posted.
Yeah.
And and that was a really scary thing for me to do because I think subconsciously sometimes I still care what people are going to think. I think that I'm very different in certain ways. I mean, I don't know if you remember me from high school. I was very outspoken. Like, I told you what it was, how it was. Like, people knew I had zero issues with conflict. And I think over time, I have found that some people don't like that. And so I kind of held back from that on social media for a long time, especially working at a corporate job where you're basically told, like, don't post anything like that on social media. Like, some of my like what people would consider like modeling photos, or even me being in a sports bra and shorts. 5 years ago, that was not okay in the corporate world. Now people don't care as much, but yeah, I guess I'll just go with that. It's just changed a lot in the last few years.
So yeah, you're not in the corporate world, but when you do hear from, like, let's say your friends that, their boss told them to take this out down from social media, that's insane. That's like,
Yeah,
you guys are monitoring my, freedom of speech through social media.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm really glad that people are allowed to be more authentically themselves. And And I think I've seen other girls do it on social media. And I think that's why I felt more comfortable, because I'm like, well, these girls are literally putting, and I can choose what I put out there, right? Like, you know what I mean? I don't need to put everything out there, but the fact that I'm able to, like, when I'm going through a hard time, get on there and talk about knowing your self-worth and cry and be like, somebody's gonna probably say something like, why is she posting on social media? But I also realize I'm touching so many other people's lives, and that empowers me to want to keep being my authentic self. Every single time I have posted something that is 100% me, whether I'm happy, sad, mad, or it's just like, this is my random thought, I've gotten a positive response. So that is very empowering. And I really, really thank the people. I'm genuine. Like, I even did it yesterday. Someone was like, hey, your post really, really helped me. And I was like, I really appreciate that, because stuff like that keeps us going, not just me, but other personal trainers. You know what I mean? A lot of people, I'm sure even you, when you post stuff, you're like, am I really reaching out to these people? Am I making a difference? Someone messaged you and was like, dude, awesome podcast, loved it. You know what I mean? Like, and then it feels good. So, yeah.
So how do you balance these good positive responses? Because, okay, I'm gonna acknowledge this. You're a woman in shape, attractive, and you're posting yourself out there doing workouts and whatnot. How do you handle the motivational, very powering messages you get with the maybe not so positive, the negative ones, or just maybe the ones that are a little too derogatory, or just some that are not what you're looking to get? Because your intentions is like to help motivate, to help push people to be better.
Right.
Someone's gonna send you those kind of messages. Again, this is
You're
just
talking
one.
about like the inappropriate ones that women
Yeah,
get?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to try to find a way to like say it without really
Not
saying
saying it.
it. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. How do you handle the inappropriate messages that you get as someone that posts yourself in workout clothes and doing all these workouts?
Really, I don't even take the time to, like, I get requests all the time, and I literally am like, delete, delete. And if it's bad enough, I block you. Like, it's that simple. Don't disrespect me. I'm here, like, I'm obviously trying to empower people. This is not about that. Like, first of all, if you were serious about something like that, that's not the way to talk to anybody. So that's how I feel about that. It's very simple. I just delete you. And it's interesting because, like, some guys, if you just hit delete, they'll keep messaging you and it keeps popping up. I'm like, delete, delete, delete. It's like, do you not get the picture? Oh, and then you'll not say anything, and then they cuss you out for not saying anything. And it's just comical. You're like, how am I the rude one when you're the one saying these derogatory things? It blows my mind that people do that. So yeah, that's how I handle it. I just next, like, get out of here. Like, I only want to read the important messages. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Because that was something like I was leading up to this interview when you agreed to come on the show. I was like, this is something I really want to ask her because I feel like she does get those kind of inappropriate messages.
I do. Yeah. I get sugar daddy ones like at least once a week. It's crazy. I don't even know why that stuff started, but I don't entertain it.
Yeah.
No, it's not worth my time. But if you're messaging me about fitness, and that's the thing too, though, when men message me, I'm very careful how I talk to them, and I'm very careful about working with them, because majority of them, it's all front. They will be like, I want to talk to you about, a consultation and working together, whether it's online or in person. And then they end up trying to say something inappropriate or flirting, or it's always some stupid emoji. And I will cut you off. Like, I'm not here to, like, flirt. I'm here to help you with your fitness goals. If you want to lose weight, gain weight, get faster, run a marathon, just learn how to, proper form, or have somebody to hold you accountable. I'm not here to, like, date somebody or even, you know what I mean? It's just, so that I mostly work with women strictly because it's just to protect myself and to keep things professional and to keep my reputation professional.
Okay.
So I feel very strongly about that, as you can tell.
I could tell. I love it. I love the fire. So are your clients, is there part of your contract where you say, like, by signing this contract, you are allowing me to put you on social media, or are you just, is it by client basis that they are okay with being on your social media?
Yeah, I don't post every client. I post ones that are only comfortable with it, and I ask to tag them. And
Yeah.
they know I'm recording too. I record people's sets a lot for them to see form, because a lot of exercises you don't really want to like turn your head. For example, like tricep push downs. I mean, we all do it, but I teach them, you really don't want to, you need to keep your spine straight. So I'll record them and I'll be like, here's your form. And it's really cool because back in the day before cell phones existed, it was harder to kind of show progress. So I have folders for every single one of my clients, and I keep progress pictures and videos over the course of working with them for my in-person clients. Well, online too, but in person, obviously I have more videos of them, so that they can see progress. And I've really enjoyed it. So they definitely all know what's going on. I had one girl that crushed my heart because I worked with her for 6 months in person, and she did a meal plan, and she was a bulking client, which most of my clients are weight loss, but I bulk, and she had the same body type as me. She was like 6'2", was 130 pounds when I started with her, and was like 144 at the 6-month mark. And I put on like a couple pounds of muscle. She looked amazing, but she didn't want me to post it on social media because to her that didn't make her feel comfortable. I couldn't even put an emoji over her face. So that crushed me, because I'm like, all this hard work and she doesn't want to post it. But at the end of the day, you have to respect what your client wants. Most of them say yes, but there are ones out there that I don't post and that other people don't post because they don't feel comfortable. So yeah, good question though.
I try.
I mean, I post up my clients all the time, so it's a good question.
Whether they want them to or not, they are going on there. So how was the process of becoming a trainer and then kind of making new workouts per clients? Because when I was going to the gym at 24-hour, like let's say 3 times a week, I'd be like, okay, I did this. Let's do this,
Right.
this. Let's try this
Right.
one, try that one. So it seems like from what I've seen in your social media that you do have different kinds of workouts for the different kind of clients. Because you said bulking, weight loss. How is it trying to create those workouts?
How do I create them?
How do you create them, and then where does imagination come from?
Well, I mean, obviously, when you become a trainer, you learn, you gain knowledge in it. So it depends on what the client wants. And I'm better at like strength training and than I am. Like I wasn't a soccer player, for example. So doing like using cones and stuff like that, I'm not good at. So for example, let's take that. That would be a harder challenge for me. If a client's like, I need like sport specific or something like that. Like those kinds of challenges are fun because it keeps me on my toes, and I'll be straightforward with them. I'll say, hey, if we work together, like, just so you know, this is not my area of expertise, but what I'm going to do for you is go home and research it and come back with a plan. So I think just as long as I'm communicative with my clients on where my knowledge is I enjoy creating the workouts. Like it's fun. And it's interesting because my workouts are all different for my clients, but what I have found is specific body types. You can take the same style of training and just make it specific to each individual client. Because for example, maybe you have 2 clients that have the same body type or similar body types, and both their goals are to do weight loss, but one person has hip issues and the other person has mobility issues in their shoulder. I can take the same layout of or structure of workout routine, right? And just change out the exercises so that it's relevant to what their needs are. So to me, it's fun. Like I thoroughly enjoy it. It keeps me on my toes. And I also like writing down like their reps and their sets and their weights. So you'll see me, I have like a clipboard, I have a paper, and I'm like writing everything down, because then I can go back and we can make sure that we're progressively overloading over the course of all of their sessions. Meaning that they're either increasing their reps or increasing their weight per set. They're basically always somehow challenging themselves a little bit more in every set. Because let me tell you, it's not easy to remember everybody's weight on every single exercise that you do with them. So being able to have everything written down really, really helps.
Yeah, I started doing that too, and I was like, oh, so I did this weight. Let's do this weight higher up. Okay,
Exactly.
You get to it's better, because the mind can only hold so much memory for only so much time, and then next thing you know, you did 35 pounds of the shoulder press 12 times, and you're like, why am I not progressing?
Exactly. Maybe that's why you're doing the same
What
thing.
the
Yeah.
heck, man?
It's like doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity. Why would we do that in exercise?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's challenging. And yeah, it's not an issue. But the one thing I've learned, because when I was first doing in person, when somebody would come to me with something I had never dealt with, that it kind of, I got real bad anxiety from it. And I just realized, I was like, well, what do you do, Jessica? And I'm like, you just got to be honest. Like, that is like, you just got to be honest. And if they don't want to work with you, then that's fine. There's a million other trainers in the world. It's a very saturated market. But I've noticed if you're honest with people and you say, hey, like, this is what I'm going to do in order to, see how this works, then I think you're fine. And so far I have been fine. You know what I mean? So I just think honesty is key and stuff like that, especially when you're trying to learn more, but keeps you on your toes. That's for sure. I don't want to turn people down. You know what I mean? Like, how else am I going to learn unless I throw myself into the fire?
Yeah, and plus, you just seem like the kind of person that wants to help everyone one way or another. So, like, I feel like for you, turning someone down, it's like twisting an arm. It's like, okay, I don't really want to, but I absolutely have to for the benefit of you.
Right. So, for example, last week I had somebody who called in to the gym and was looking for somebody for their son, but they are very sports specific to baseball, and the dad wants the kid to learn how to like throw faster. I'm like, I'm not the trainer for that, unfortunately. I would love to help him, but that's honestly something that's not in my expertise. I would rather refer him to another trainer. So there are times where you have to say no, just because I'm not here to take people's money just to take people's money. That's not why I'm in it. I want to actually be able to help them. So if I do think that I can gain the knowledge and we can work together, and you know what I mean, I think that that's a good plan. I think everybody does that in every profession, even doctors, you know what I mean? There's always a first time for everything. So you just gotta not be afraid of that and move forward.
What are some client successes that you've had in your career? Oh, wait, first off, how long have you been a trainer officially?
I think I am going on 4.5 years
Four,
since 2016. So yeah, 4.5 years.
4.5 years of being a trainer, whether it's from the beginning or maybe some recently, what are some successes that, you are like, I'm happy I could help you out? I think you actually mentioned this already with the woman that said no to be on social media because she made the diet plan.
Yeah.
So
That's a great bulking example. She did amazing.
let's twist it.
Okay.
What is a client failure that maybe you weren't ready, or maybe they just weren't responding to your workouts? How did you respond to that, and how did you mentally get over that hurdle of not being able to help this person get to where they want to go?
Very, very interesting question, because I think every person as a trainer is going to answer this differently. Um, so for my in-person clients, when I notice they're kind of, I consider it slipping, like, like they lose their motivation, it's usually a mindset thing, or they're going through something. So my goal is to keep them in the gym and keep them active. But I also really, you get to know your clients, and they end up trusting you and you trust them. So it's sometimes my sessions, it's almost like they're therapy sessions too. So I just help them through that on a mental note. Or like, for example, let's say it's summertime, right? Like, that's what's happening a lot more. And I have a client that comes to me, I train her 3 times a week, 7:30 in the morning, and it'll be a Wednesday morning session. And she'll be like, oh yeah, I had like 3 shots last night and 2 Trulies. And I'm literally like,
What?
why are you doing this to yourself? Like, and so I'm like, I'm not like a super hard a-hole, like, you better cut that all out of your, like, I don't think that is an effective way to train, at least the people that I work with, women. So for me, it's more like I try to figure out why they're doing it. And if they continue to do it, then eventually I'm like, hey, maybe this is why you're not feeling that great. Have you thought about doing this instead? Maybe just limit your drinking to the weekends instead of the weekday. And so I kind of try to like put in little tips and tricks. I don't want to be too pushy, because I don't believe that being pushy is the best way to get people to get on the other side of their fitness journey. That will make somebody quit if you're just super hard on them. So I just believe in letting people live their life And if they F up on the weekend, it's on them. And I just kind of gently remind them like, hey, remember your goal, it's over here. So there are definitely clients I've worked with that, I mean, it's kind of a bummer for me. There's one girl that I was working with in person, and she worked with me for like a month and a half, 2 months. She was getting really good results, and then she got sick, and she just like couldn't snap out of it. And then COVID happened, honestly, and she's still not back. But it kind of breaks my heart to see that happen, and I wish I could have done something more. But in terms of them failing, I think you have to look at it as like, is it something that you're doing, or are they not doing all of the things that you told them to do? So if someone's, not seeing, so for example, I like to use an in-body scanner with my clients for check-ins in person. And do you know what an in-body scanner is?
Explain for the fans.
Yeah. So an in-body scanner is basically like a higher, how do I say this? I'm totally word vomiting. A more expensive scale, I guess is the word I'm going to say.
Okay.
That will also read it'll take your weight and it'll break it down to water weight, your muscle mass, and your body fat. So you could take, like, for example, someone who's 150, and you could see that, let's say 65 pounds of that is muscle, and then, whatever else is water and fat. And so when I look at those with my clients, I really like to use that as a tool to teach them, because in the moment, sometimes based on the results, they feel like they're failing. So to me, it's kind of like a mini failure. Like if the scale is not going in the direction they want, people think that they're failing, but that's not always how the body works. Sometimes you can stay the same weight, and what they will find is, hey, I'm the same weight, or maybe I'm a pound heavier, but I've actually put on muscle and I've actually dropped fat. So my weight hasn't changed, but my body composition has. And so I would say that's a moment where it's like, I take a little, what someone would think is a failure, and I try to kind of flip their mind. So they see like, no, like this is not actually that bad. But if you do want to see that weight drop faster, then what does your water intake look like? What are your carbs and fats looking like? You know what I mean? If you're not dropping those, then your body if you're just going to continue to maintain, you should expect that your weight's going to stay this way. But you came to me about weight loss or whatever it is. And, in order to do that, this is what you need to do a little bit more of. So I don't know if that kind of directly answers your question, but that's how I would take some of what I would consider a failure in training and kind of flip it, so that, because you can always learn from them. So yeah, I know when you asked me that question, I was like, that's tough, because I don't know if failure is the right word, if that makes sense. So
yeah, they're more like success is waiting to happen.
Yeah, I love that. Exactly. Failures are successes waiting to happen.
You can put that on the shirt for free. I'll give that to you.
Right. Royalties.
So it sounds like being a trainer, it's kind of like, spinning it back to when you're a manager, kind of helping people's emotions, kind of making sure that their mind's in the right direction. So has any thought about your training as a manager seeped into your training as a trainer?
Everything. I mean, it's sales. I have to market myself. I have to manage emotions of client. I've literally had people come to me for a training session and cried the whole time, because that's just, they're going through something and they trust me. And so, I always try to make sure they're at least like moving around, but like if they need a crying session, like I'm here for it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I guess that's where I'm going to end that.
So I believe way before COVID, you had a gym in Hillsborough. Was that right?
That I was working out of?
Yeah. I think I remember seeing like photos of you with a bunch of people and like doing, I want to say a CrossFit type gym or something like that. Do you miss that kind of environment at all? Or are you settling in with the garage gym?
So I still do both, actually. So I'm at the gym still, and I'm at my house still. So that's the kind of the nice thing is that like one of my neighbors 2 doors down found me online, and she was like, hey, I think you're my neighbor. Like, are you still training out of your house? And I was like, yeah, she's literally 2 doors down. So I work out of my house and out of the gym. I'm a social person. Like,
Yeah.
so I honestly don't know if I could do full time at my garage. Like, I love my clients, but I work at a gym where there's also members. So it's, although it's, you know, I'm seeing the same things and same people, it's just, you get to say hello to people or laugh and have a conversation. So I really enjoy in-person training. I really do. So I don't know if I could ever go all online for that reason.
So how were you in the beginning of the pandemic where everyone was very locked down and everyone's very isolated as a social butterfly like yourself?
Every Friday at 4 p.m. I had happy hour with my girlfriends on Zoom. And we would have wine or whoever was drinking whatever, and we would literally be talking for like 2 hours. And that's how it was every single week for a long time until, you know, things were, then we'd go to like the park and be like far away from each other and slowly progressed. But yeah, and luckily, like I said, some of my clients were coming to my house, so I would socialize during that time. But yeah, it definitely it's a little more lonely, that's for sure. But I think that 2020 it knocked us all under our feet so we can come back and get better next year. And that's exactly what it's doing to me right now. Is it tried to knock me on my feet, and I'm like, not yet, buddy. And we're gonna keep moving forward and see where things go.
Nice try.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, I've been in my office since day one. So I've,
like since March.
Since March, since the whole shutdown, they've still deemed me essential as the front office personnel.
Oh, wow.
So I felt all warm and fluffy. So I was watching was it NFL sports talk show. NFL sports. I'm mumbling a little bit. So an NFL talk show in the morning. There we go. They mentioned that it's different because they get to be in the there's still social distance, but they're in the same studio together. They get to be face to face, and they're having a little bit weird time trying to get used to that because they got so used to talking on the screen like what we're doing right now. I feel like both of us we're lucky that we're able to continue working, continue to be around people.
Yeah, I think that things are definitely going to be weird. Like my girlfriend, so two of my best friends actually work at my old job. And so I get to hear about how things are going all the time. And today they were actually talking about how they might not be back until spring or summer. Like, I don't even know if we ever need to go back to the office after that long out of it. Like, and I just think it's going to really change the way that business happens. And I'm very curious. One of my clients is a teacher, a middle school teacher, a math teacher. And so I also get to hear that side. And I'm very curious. They don't have a lot of support. They really don't. And decisions get made without teachers getting to vote and stuff like that. Totally off topic. But I just think COVID is really going to revolutionize the world. Yeah. And I'm very, like I heard Nike there's 2 buildings that they're moving out of and they're up for sale. Like, I don't know or rent or whatever. I don't know if that means that because they laid off all of those people. Probably shouldn't put this part in there because I'm talking about Nike, but I'm very curious, like how many companies are going to realize that they don't need a brick and mortar building for businesses to function. Like Comcast service, right? They have those hubs where all those people are in there. They don't ever need to go back. That's not a job where you need to be in front of other people. You're just on the phones with your headset. So like they could cut out so much money by getting rid of all of these brick and mortar buildings and just rack in way more. So I'm very, very curious to see what happens and what kind of things companies are going to be doing, bigger companies are going to be doing over the next year or two because of this. This is completely changing things. And I'm so thankful gyms are still open, like, and functioning, and that I think online is huge. But I think that people will always need in-person training because they need that one-on-one connection, that accountability in person. So I'm just really thankful that we're not obsolete yet. Hopefully it doesn't go that way.
Yeah, so I want to say second or third episode was with my chiropractor friend, and he told me about how he had telemedicine, where he would go basically on a webcam like this with his clients, and how it was difficult to like really get them to correctly do the moves without physically putting his hands on them and trying to,
Yeah,
coach them up. So
100%.
that's well, hopefully,
I was doing
luckily,
virtual training too. I didn't mention that. During COVID, I did a couple clients were virtual. I completely agree with him.
yeah.
Like, and especially a lot of the times they're like self-conscious on camera. So you're used to seeing them in person, but then they'll like, this is all you see of them. And you're like, hey, buddy, like I can't see you. And then they're like, well, I don't want you to see me. And I'm like, okay, like
Sure.
make sure your elbows are staying there. You know what I mean? So I totally get what you mean. I can't imagine as a chiropractor, that's even more hands-on than what I do.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine the frustrations that he probably had a lot of patience.
So are you officially deemed a small business owner then?
I think so, yeah. But in my opinion, it's tough because I don't necessarily, technically, I'm an LLC. I have my own business. I file as, my own independent contractor. But to me, being a business owner means you're not working for your hours. And right now, I'm the one physically going and training these people. So to me, it's still kind of a job. It's like a passion that I like to do. You know what I mean? I consider like a small business owner somebody who the business runs without anybody there. So like if like people that solely do online coaching, for example, like they, that I think is small business owner. Well, I guess they're still putting in the hours. That's not a good example. So if there's a personal trainer who has a trainer that works under them, that does the work for them, and then they give them a cut of their clients, I would say that is working towards more of being like a small business owner. But as far as right now, I would say like I'm an entrepreneur, but I mean, I still have a job. I still have to put my time in, you know what I mean? It's not making money on its own. If I'm sick, I don't get paid. So that is a controversial question for me. I could go all day on that.
So granted, you've been a trainer for about, 4 to 5 years. So does COVID and all these lockdowns and all these businesses kind of getting in trouble because, it's very customer based. Does this kind of solidify your confidence in your decision to be a trainer instead of being in those kind of fields?
Yeah, I have full control. And I mean, I guess at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out and I, which I don't think will happen, but it'll only work out if I don't put in the work. I can always go back to a corporate job. There's always going to be corporate jobs there. But right now, that's not the life that I want. I want to build my life in my own schedule. So that's I need to find a different like transition where can you teach me how to do that? I'm like, so yeah, let's go.
Again, that's why I'm taking notes. So
find a little needs to get better at speaking publicly.
It's more like, so we talk about something, and then when I was mentioning, oh, you're a manager, but kind of working with people's emotions, wrote that down. So I knew we were going to get to this point where we talked about training. So I just kind of put a little like reminder in my head to look down when you bring this up or when we talk about this. And there we go. Transition, man. That's all it is. A lot of practice, a lot of trial and error. If you hear my first episode or watch my first episode, I know I just really just kind of free floated. I was just like, okay, I'm not going to write down anything. I'm just going to remember everything. And I was like, that's a bad move because there's a lot of things I missed on. Abort mission. So, I'm very happy with the progress this show is going. I'm very happy to have you on and be able to talk
thank you. Happy to be here.
Your life. And I want to ask you, with the lifestyle and fitness, I guess, industry that you are a part of, how would you define healthy?
So I would define healthy as like whatever makes you feel good about your body. But normally when people feel good about their body, it's when they're exercising and when they are eating nutrient dense food. So, but I also think mindset is huge. So like me, for example, let's take me. I've got a muscular body. I put work in, but if my mindset's not right, then you can still be unhealthy. So you have to have your mind right, a positive, forward-thinking person, not living in the past, Or let's say, for example, me, I struggle with anxiety here and there, and I have trauma from past relationships. So to me, sometimes that really does affect my mental health. And as long as I'm consciously working on that and bettering myself, I still think that I'm considered a healthy person. It's when you know you're depressed and you know you're going through something and you don't do anything about it, that I think that is when it's unhealthy. We all have problems. And I think that's why I'm so much more authentic online, because I don't freaking care what anybody says about me anymore. You have a problem, whoever this person is, you know, saying these negative things about me, look at yourself in the mirror. You're not perfect either. I'm just willing to put myself out there to show other people that not everybody's perfect and that it's okay that they're not. And it's okay to work on yourself. And I just think that that's so important. I think health has to do with your mental state, and it has to do with your physical state as well. Your body, mind, spirit, everything needs to be connected. But at the end of the day, we're always a work in progress. It just matters if you're making sure that you're going in the right direction, that I would consider somebody being healthy. If you know what I mean? So very, very deep.
Psych, actually, I have one more question for you. So, the whole time we've talked, you've mentioned your mental health, your anxiety, and I kind of associate anytime you do weightlifting and carrying like 100 pounds, you got to have really strong mental strength to really push yourself to the limit. How would you categorize, or how would you summarize your mental growth from when you started into this weightlifting field and really progressed on to where you are today? Because again, we didn't talk that much when we were in high school. We knew of each other. We ran into each other once or twice. I think we're just in different social circles, which is completely fine.
Yeah.
But
we always say hi, though.
We always say hi to each other. Exactly.
Always say hi.
Hi, I don't even know you, but hi.
Right, exactly.
So, I always thought of you as the same kind of person. You're very chatty, you're very smile, and you're very much everywhere, talking this person, this person. I didn't know about the anxiety. I didn't know about anorexia. I didn't know about anything like this. So until I started looking into you. So how would you summarize your mental growth from when you started your fitness journey to where you are right now?
Completely night and day different. I went through like a really dark period in my life, a couple of them. And I was like a really, really negative person. I was in a really bad relationship that I became a completely toxic person, not just to them, but to myself. And so I think for me, it's been a huge difference. I have been the person that has gotten up in the mirror in the morning and completely trash talked themselves. And especially with this acne, this year, the cystic acne that I've been dealing with has made me humble with the experience that I've had. I mean, 4 months ago, I had 7 cystic acnes on my face. I couldn't open my mouth. I couldn't speak without feeling them stretching and being in pain. And that will make you really, really strong because you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to be like, I'm absolutely hideous. But you can't tell yourself that, because what ended up happening to me, and this happened to me in the beginning too, I'm so skinny, I'm twig arms. And we didn't bring this up, but one of the first points where I realized I was like anorexic was I was at that job and I'm sitting at the computer, and from across you could see me like this, like if someone looked into my cubicle. Well, I guess my arms were really, really skinny. They're not that much anymore, thankfully. But this girl looks at me and she literally goes, "You need to eat a fucking hamburger." Like full on cussed everything. And I thought this person was like my friend. And I looked at her and I was like, "What?" She's like, "You are so skinny. You need to eat a fucking hamburger. Like, go eat food." And then I ended up going to the doctors because I had like a random annual checkup, and they were like, "You're 117 pounds. You're anorexic. Like, what is going on in your life?" And so that was like that's very, very off topic, but the very beginning of when I found out that I was anorexic. And so during that time, I was extremely clueless in terms of my mindset. I didn't know anything about macros. I didn't even know what a protein was. Like, I remember asking people like, "How do you know chicken is protein? Like, what is protein? Like who made up a carbohydrate?" These are real questions that I had. And so I had to like train myself, and I had to want the results more than I wanted the things that I had to sacrifice, like time with my friends, drinking alcohol, because drinking alcohol makes you full, right? Then you don't want to eat. Like I had to literally cut out everything that was not going to help me gain weight or teach me how to gain weight. And I think I've become a lot happier of a person. My mindset is 9-day different. Like training is very empowering because you can, and you like, if you get under the bar, right, you do a squat and you think you can only do a certain amount of weight. And then one, you're just like, no, you got this. Like you got 2 more reps. You know, it teaches you to love yourself. That's what fitness does. It teaches you to love yourself. It teaches you to trust within yourself, to believe in yourself, and to know that you're a freaking badass. And just because that person next to you is doing more weight than you doesn't mean that you can't eventually do that weight. And it's just, I used to be such a negative person, and at times I can still be, right? Because we're all human, we have bad days, but I really just really try not to be that way. And I try to, you know, encourage myself. But I would say for anybody who is going through a hard time and is having a hard time motivating themselves, they have to look deep within at their why. I think knowing your why is the biggest thing. And I think that that's what helped motivate me and pushed me. I need to get closer to the light. And that motivated me and pushed me to keep going on the days that I didn't want to go. So like for me, for example, my why was I didn't ever want to be skinny again. I don't ever want to be told I have twig arms again. Woo! I'm gonna cry. And like, I don't get called that anymore. And that in itself is amazing and empowering, like beyond anything. So you just gotta want the results more than you want the stuff that's gonna hold you back. That is how you keep that mindset going.
There you go. All right. Jessica Ashman dropping the motivational speeches. I love it. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm very happy that I got you. You know, we did reschedule a couple times, but you know what? We got it. It is getting dark. You are getting a little darker, but you know what? This is the end of the line. We're good here. Jessica, where can the people find you on social media?
At Jessica Ashman Fit, or this is my logo. I don't know if it's going to come in the right way, but
it looks great.
Jessica Ashman Fit, jessicaashmanfitness.com is my website. You can go on there and look at my online coaching, in-person training, transformations, and I also have ebooks on there that are preset, like pre-made workouts that you can just buy if you don't have a routine and you need one and you just want to like go to the gym and do it yourself or at home. And it's just a one-time buy.
Yes. All right. This is great. I'm so happy I got to talk to you.
I'm so happy that you asked me to talk to you. I was like, what? Keoni wants to interview me? Like, what is so special about me? So I really appreciate you.
Everything is special about you. This is awesome. Happy for the progress you've made. I'm going to keep rooting for you because, you know, we're great friends. If we're not great friends, we will get to be there. You know, I always going to have your back. I was going to push for you to always excel for more. And seeing you on these Instagram stories, it's motivating and also makes me want to go do some push-ups because I feel like I need to do some more now.
Hey, think of it as like you train to eat or you eat to train, right? So like go train and then go eat whatever the heck you want.
There we go. Jessica, thank you again so much for virtually stopping by and chatting with me, and we'll keep in contact. And yeah, I'm just so happy I got to talk to you.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for sticking around to the end of the interview. Do you have any follow-up questions for the guest? Throw them in the comments below, then I'll work to get them answered for you. If you like what you heard and you want to listen to more episodes, go ahead and follow Keoni Chats on Spotify and iTunes. If you want a video version, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to stay connected when I'm not posting things, as far as blog posts or podcast, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, the KC Media 13 handle. And then you can also like and follow the Facebook page of Conluke Media, which is also KC Media. And if you want to become a guest, go ahead and message me those on those platforms. Or you can email me at kcmedia13@yahoo.com. And I'll get you scheduled. Let's connect. Let's have a chat. So until the next episode, everyone, please take care.